Hi everyone, welcome to week 9 of your technical math class. This week we are going to finish up chapter 8, which is all about measurement and geometry. So this week we're going to be looking at the last 4 sections, which includes lines and angles, triangles, the Pythagorean theorem, perimeter, circumference area, and volume and surface area. So a lot of what you're going to be learning in the first section on lines and angles is really definitions. What is a point? What is a line? What is a line segment? What is a ray? All of those things are going to be covered in the first section, and that's going to be then transferred into what we need to know for the other sections. So let's look at some of those definitions. A point is just a specific location in space, and we normally label it just with a capital letter. A line is an infinite number of points, and they go on in both directions, whereas a line segment has ends. So a line segment is just a piece. So it's all of the parts in between, but it ends at 2 distinct endpoints. An array goes on forever on one end, but not on the other end. So those are some really important concepts that you need to know from that first section, which is 8.5. You'll be looking at how to name some of them as you go through this section. Be really careful with naming rays. A ray always starts with the end point and goes through the other point on the ray. So be very careful. Notice the difference between these, between the ray PQ and the ray QP. It always starts with the end point. Then you're going to be looking at an angle next, and an angle is a geometric figure formed by 2 rays. So notice that the end point of each ray is the same point. So that is called the vertex. That common point is the vertex. So we can name this angle in 3 different ways. So this particular one is going to be either angle P, or we're going to name it RPQ, or QPR. So know that you can name angles in different ways, but it's very important that vertex is in the middle if you're going to use all 3 letters. Then they go on to talk about if you have 2 rays that form a quarter of a turn of a circle, that's a right angle. So if it's 90 degrees, it's considered a right angle. And we use that little arrow, that little box in the corner to show that it's a right angle. And then if it's a straight line, it's 180 degrees. So those are 2 very important concepts that you're going to use as we go further in this particular chapter. And then a full circle is 360 degrees. Now, if we have an angle that is not one of those, we can use a protractor to figure out what that angle actually is. So they've given you some examples with an actual protractor in the textbook and on the PowerPoint slides where you can just kind of do your own measurement. So say, for example, we were looking at angle EOD. So EOD, and we would start with 0 and read up this direction. So this would be an angle of 20 degrees. Now, if we were measuring angle AOD, notice we would start at this direction. Again, we're starting with the 0, so this time it's the inside numbers. So AOD, we're going to go all the way around, and it's 160 degrees. So it should make sense that those 2 angles put together would give us 180 because they do form a straight line. So those are some of the other things that you're going to be looking at as we go through, what exactly are those relationships. Now, any angle that is less than 90 degrees, we call it an acute angle. I always like to tell students it's small, it's little, so it's cute. So that's how you can remember it. Obtuse is big. So obtuse is bigger than 90. Acute is smaller than 90. So if it's between 0 and 90, it's acute. If it's larger than 90 but less than 180, it's considered obtuse. Then we're going to look also at complementary and supplementary angles. So what we mean by complementary and supplementary means if they add up to equal something, okay? So if two angles are the same, they're considered to be congruent. If they add up to equal 90, they're complementary. And if they add up to equal 180, they're supplementary. So those are just some of the basic things that you're going to be looking at in this rest of this chapter. Again, you're going to go on and look at more than just angles and lines. You're going to go ahead and look at triangles. You're going to look at the Pythagorean theorem and how all of those things work together. So if at any point as you go through these slides you have any questions about any of the topics, the triangles and the Pythagorean theorem, the perimeter and circumference, the volume, any of those formulas, please make sure you reach out and let me know. You can call or text me anytime or send me an email. Have a great week.